everybody. My name is Trips on Tail. I am the owner of Cyrodiilic Realty, and it's my job to help you find the home of your dreams in the Empire's beautiful Heartland province of Cyrodiil. I have connections in every city in the province and every town as well. And I guarantee I can find you the perfect home for your needs. So I would like to thank you for choosing Cyrodiilic Realty for your real estate needs today. You have many options, and we are honored that you went with us. Now, your neighborhood is of course as important as your actual house. So for each home I show you, I'd like to show you around the local town first. We will start here in Skingrad with one of my most sumptuous offerings. Skingrad is one of Cyrodiil's safest and wealthiest towns, so it is a wonderful place to live. If you are a scholar, you will also appreciate that Skingrad hosts the Chapel of Julianos, who is the divine, of course, of wisdom, learning, and logic. And if we cross the eastern bridge in the city, you can see the chapel. Skingrad is an interestingly designed city, and oh my. Pardon me for that. Seems there was a strange man trying to speak to us in the middle of the night here, so we're just going to take a different route on our tour. Walk through some of these backyards here. Despite that strange figure that just tried to approach us, the Count Janice Hasseldor, really has done a marvelous job keeping the city clean and safe. And there are many other reasons to live in Skingrad. For instance, you will be living in the very heart of Cyrodiilic wine country. If you are an appreciator of wine, you have two of the most famous vintners in all of Tamriel here, Tamica wine and the Cyrodiil brothers wine. And oh my. Alright, we're going to just go ahead and get off the streets because this strange man is harassing us. Of course, with the guards here, we'll simply report him to the guards and everything will be taken care of. But for tonight, let's go ahead and head inside. This is Rosethorn Hall, a gorgeous, well-appointed I show you today will be fully furnished, oh my. Alright, well, that was a little frightening, but he's left the house, so I think we're safe. Of course, I will tell the guards all about this, and I hope that encounter didn't put you off. Moving on from that, you may be interested to know an old story told about this house. 200 years ago, the thief Dervin the Grey was captured in this very house and thrown into the Imperial City prison to rot for the rest of his days. However, the treasure he had stolen that led to his arrest was never found. He could have stashed it anywhere, of course, but local legend holds that he secreted it away somewhere in this very house. Who knows? If you move in, you might one day be the one to finally find that old treasure. Wouldn't that be something? Now, as you can see, the house is very well appointed, very spacious, plenty of room for entertaining. You also have a balcony on the second floor. Now, if you are a fan of natural light, unfortunately, living in Skingrad does not lend itself to much of that. The tall buildings and narrow alleyways mean that you will be getting very little sunshine through your windows. And with a house this size, I would recommend hiring some help. You can easily find a maid in Skingrad that can move into the servants' quarters in your basement. And the price for Rosethorn Hall is 25,000 septims. A tidy sum, no doubt, but really a fine deal for a home of this stature. And, as with all the homes I show you today, they come fully furnished, but you will have to pay for those additional furnishings, and it will be an additional 23,000 septims for Rosethorn Hall to be fully furnished. Otherwise, if you just want to pay for the base price of the house, we can remove the furnishings when we sell it. A bit out of your price range. No worries, no worries. Let's head over to Chorrol and find something a little more affordable. Here we are by the statue of Saint Osla. With your budget in mind, I have a beautiful house here in Chorrol that I think will fit you just perfectly. It's still a sizable home, although somewhat reduced compared to Rosethorn, and it's built in a charming traditional Colovian style. The statue of Saint Osla is a hallmark of Chorrol. It's an incredible piece. Of course, it depicts Saint Osla, who was a healer at the Battle of Cyrodiil and saved many lives. We can walk up Chapel Street, where you will see many of Chorrol's fine establishments, such as Renoir's Books, Northern Goods and Trade, and the Oak and Crozier Inn. We also have the Chapel of Stendar here, the Divine of Charity, Mercy, and Compassion. So if you are a follower of the Divines, you will have a wonderful chapel to attend. And Chorrol, as with Skingrad, is a Colovian town. So you can expect the culture to be one of hard work and rugged toughness. The Colovian region of Cyrodiil prides itself on those traits. Chorrol is also it's the closest town to the Imperial City, which can be quite the benefit if you think you will be visiting the city very often. You just take the Black Road through the Great Forest, and you are right at the bridge into the Imperial City. Also, Chorrol has a unique feature in that the Orange Road connects directly to Bruma. Most of the cities and towns in Cyrodiil are connected by the Red Ring Road that surrounds the Imperial City. And if you want to travel between towns, you must first travel the Red Ring Road, circle it, and then follow the main road to the town you wish to visit. But the Orange Road is a unique circumvention of that system, directly connecting Chorrol and Bruma. Another perk if you foresee yourself visiting that Nord town very often. If you are a ranger type, you might enjoy the rough Colovian terrain around town. Of course, the legendary city of Sancre-Tor is to the northeast. And we all know this, but Sancre-Tor was supposedly formed when, many years ago, King Chorrol, shall we say, copulated with a mound of dirt that the spirit of Saint Olesia inhabited. And of course, 9 months later, the legendary Raymond Cyrodiil was born, with the Amulet of Kings implanted in his very forehead. We are resting under the great oak tree here, another famous feature of Chorrol. And this is where you will be living, in Great Oak Place. The Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild are nearby if you have any connections to those guilds. But here we are now, in Arborwatch, a classic Colovian home, but more refined and comfortable. You will find this notably more affordable than Rosethorn Hall, with a price of only 20,000 septims. A fine bargain for a home of this quality. And as I said, if you wish to keep all of these furnishings as is, that'll cost you an additional 19,400 septims. On the second floor, we have a bedroom section and a suite section. We can explore the suite here and see that it is a wonderful, cozy, comfortable room. Paintings and banners on the wall, warm carpets on the floor, and a lovely double bed. You will no doubt appreciate this as your master bedroom. It's a very fine room. And if we go to the additional bedrooms, we will find a perfect place for guests to visit, or if you have a family, these would be a wonderful pair of rooms for your children. Here we have a smaller room, and on the other side we have a slightly larger room, including a nook with a desk. So, perhaps this could be your guest room, and your children could live in the smaller bedroom. If you have a family, of course. Otherwise, it's just more room for visitors. So, as you can see, Arborwatch is a fine, fine home. I'll show you around the back as well, so you can see the property that you are purchasing in addition to the house. You have this lovely covered area where the suite is built, and your backyard abuts the chapel. So you have a lovely view of the stained glass of the 9 divines watching over you, as if blessing your home. What's that? Perhaps a little too expensive still? Oh, very well. Perhaps something a little less traditional might suit you. Let's follow the road northwest of Chorrol and find ourselves here at Battlehorn Castle. A castle built by a contingent of the Knights of the True Horn, a knightly order in exile from Hammerfell. The previous owner, Lord Kelvin, was recently killed by marauders, and his will passes ownership to whomever holds it. As such, this castle is technically free, although you will need to purchase its many furnishings. And I am going to hand it over for free, as unfortunately nobody is willing to buy it right now on account of the Oblivion gates that surround it. But I'll show you those in a minute. First, we can appreciate the trophy hall that dominates the center of the castle. You already saw the stuffed Daedroth, but there are more here, such as the troll, an ogre, a mountain lion, this large minotaur, and fear a ferocious Daedra monster, and a large bear. So the trophy hall will no doubt impress any guests that pass through. And the castle is so large, I won't bring you to every nook and cranny of it, but to the left here, you have the barracks, and to the right, you have the basement, the large, expensive basement. And of course, being a castle of a knightly order, it does come with a contingent of men at arms who can serve to defend you in combat. You have a wonderful wine cellar, and a vintner on staff who will keep you supplied with mead and wine. And all of these furnishings will set you back about 15,000 septims, though certainly worth it, a very fine price for the amenities kept in this castle. If you are the adventuring type, you will appreciate the training area in the basement, where you will also have a sparring partner kept on staff that you can fight with if you wish to practice your skills in combat. A kitchen and larder down here. Your staff, of course, will keep you supplied with food and drink. If you choose to move into Battlehorn Castle, your needs will be taken care of by your staff. And in these dangerous times, with Oblivion gates opening all over the province and all over Tamriel, safety is of a high priority, I know. So living behind tall, thick walls of stone is a very appealing idea. Your dining hall here, of course, you can entertain large groups. After all, a castle as large as this would be underutilized if you did not host grand feasts. We are above the trophy hall now, and we can explore your private quarters. And your private quarters here have another house servant who can provide you with food and drink as necessary, tend to whatever you need. You have a sumptuous bedroom here with a fireplace and lots of storage space for all of your many possessions. You have a small study here, and I'll show you a little secret. Something quite fascinating about this castle. A secret door. Now, this secret door leads to a trap door, allowing for you to emerge on top of your castle. And I know of one other secret door in the castle, which is behind the wine cellar. But I believe there are other secrets in this castle that I do not know about. So if you have an exploratory mind, you might just find secrets left in this castle for decades. Now, unfortunately, we do have 2 Oblivion gates just outside the castle. One here, and one up here, in between the castle and Chorrol. Not interested in fighting Daedra? Very well, I understand that. Then allow me to present you with another bargain. Let's finish off our tour of the Colovian towns with Anvil, the jewel of the Gold Coast. I have a gorgeous manor here, and it is priced to move. So, let's head past Castle Anvil and go check out the town. The harbor here is always active, with supplies and trade goods coming in and out of the city at all times. So if you love the salty sea air in your nose, and the cry of gulls and seabirds in your ear, then Anvil is a wonderful option for you. As an Argonian, I have great love for Anvil. Being in a coastal city just feels right to me, but perhaps you have different preferences. Here we have the Chapel of Dibella, the divine of love and beauty. Tragically, the priestesses were recently brutally murdered by Daedra under the command of Umaril the Unfeathered. A run of bad events in the city, including this Daedric massacre and the murder of a whole crew on board a ship, a gang of thieves targeting the town, and other unfortunate incidents, has driven home prices in the town down. So, on the upside, I can give you a wonderful deal on a home. Here is the famous mermaid statue of Anvil. A very mysterious origin there. Nobody knows when or why it was built. The architecture of Anvil is said to be similar to that of Hammerfell's coastal towns. I've never been to Hammerfell, but hopefully in the next few years I will be heading there for a long overdue trip. To the west, down that road, you can find some of the town's businesses. The Count's Arms, for instance, is a lovely inn. The famous author Quillweave will also be one of your neighbors. But now let's go take a look at Benirus Manor, your potential new home. I won't lie to you. I am an honest real estate agent. Nobody will buy it, as the Lich Lorgren Benirus once made it his lair for evil necromancy. I assure you, he is long dead, slain by the head of the local Mages Guild chapter, Cyrodiil. However, the stink of superstition and dark magic still clings manor, and nobody local will buy it. Because of that, as I said, the manor is priced to move at only 5,000 septims. And you will see what a remarkable deal that is once we step inside and you see how well appointed the home is. Of course, it's large and spacious, as you can see from the outside, and you have a wonderful private backyard, fenced in as well. It is a little dark at the moment, but nothing you can't spruce up with a few candelabras. You have a living room here with a fireplace, beautiful carved chairs and tables. Your dining room here, a little small, but you can get in a larger table if you want to throw some dinner parties. Upstairs, you have your bedroom, the master bedroom, and a lovely, cozy little study here, which also has a small balcony overlooking the staircase up to your bedroom. A unique little feature, and one with a lot of charm. And then you can also overlook your living room downstairs. You also have an expansive balcony outside, so you can step out and watch the sunset in the evenings, casting brilliant, coruscating light over the pond by the mermaid statue. Or watch the light illuminate the stained glass of the chapel. I'm sure this home is already drawing your attention and your desire. For only 5,000 gold, how could you pass it up? And just to be clear, that 5,000 gold includes all these furnishings as well. You get everything in this house, as is, for such a bargain price. And as if that wasn't enough, your basement is remarkable. Look how expensive this is. You have so much storage space down here. All sorts of alcoves to fill with crates and barrels. If you are a collector, you have tons of space down here for any trinkets and such. And if you are of a magical persuasion or enjoy a bit of unusual aspects to your home, this is Lorgren Benirus' secret lair of necromancy. An altar, magical glyphs painted on the walls and the floor. Unfortunately, I haven't cleaned this place up. I'm a little nervous about it myself. No danger here, of course, but I will admit I am a bit superstitious, so I haven't picked up all of the bones and the rotting flesh, but if this sort of thing appeals to you, it is really a one-of-a-kind opportunity. You even have Lorgren's Tome of Unlife. I can't read such magical script, as is in it, but if you're of that persuasion, I'm sure you could discern quite a bit of fascinating information in its pages. Not quite right for you? Well, I understand completely. But as long as we're in Anvil, I thought you might want to see something a little unusual. I expect you won't want to purchase it, but just for fun we can take a look. About 150 years ago, Anvil was a base for pirates and thieves. The town's first count, Facil Umbernox, a commodore in the Imperial Navy at the time, forced the pirate king Doradan ap Dugal into a deadly cat-and-mouse game that ended with Umbernox and Dugal finally facing each other down in Anvil's harbor. Hundreds of ships were destroyed, and it ended with Umbernox's mages bringing a cliffside down on Dugal's ship, the Black Flag, entombing it in this cavern. The ship was lost here for almost 200 years, until the cave was finally uncovered. It has now been turned into the base for a pirate operation. But the pirates need a captain, and I need to move this cave, which I do possess ownership of. So, if being a pirate captain sounds appealing to you, I will transfer possession of this cavern and everything within for only 5,500 septums. And of course, your crew would only be too willing to go plundering for you, so you could pay off that purchase price very quickly. And you do have private quarters here. Once the home of Captain Dugal, you can now have this cozy little room for yourself. What? You're not interested in living in a dank little cave? Very well, I figured it was a little too unusual, but I like to show my clients all their options just in case. You never know. Well, with budget being one of your concerns, perhaps you might want to see a true bargain I have in the Imperial City. Here we are in the Temple of the One. The dragon fire, which should be lit here, is currently dormant, and Oblivion gates to the Deadlands of Mehrunes Dagon open all over Tamriel because of it. But life goes on, right? So, if you wish to live in the luxury and opportunity of the Imperial City, I have the perfect opportunity for you. Let's step outside of the Temple District into the Imperial City waterfront. The waterfront, of course, accepts all the ships that sail up the Niben River into Lake Rumare and make port at the Imperial City. Currently, we have two ships in the harbor. The Mary Elena here, beautiful. And the other ship is one that has been docked here for a long time. The Bloated Float Inn. It is an inn in a floating ship. Quite an unusual little spot. I would recommend spending a night there if you're in the Imperial City. It is not the most luxurious of establishments, but it's quite a story, quite a unique spot to spend the night. So, while the waterfront might have a bit more of a stink to it than the refreshing ocean smell of Anvil's harbor, you might still find it a brisk sort of place to live. We have the ruins of Fort Homestead there. You'll be getting used to these landmarks if you decide to buy in the Imperial City. Off to the left, just over there, yes, there it is, we have the Way Shrine of Dibella, one of the many way shrines of the Divines. And there's also that Aelid ruin across the way. Fanakasakul, I believe, is the name of it. I don't do well with those old Aelid names. Very strange, very large words, difficult to remember, even harder to say. But this would be your mansion here in the Imperial City. I know it's not much to look at, but you have a cellar back here for storage. And you certainly can't beat that view over Lake Rumare. I mean, look at that. And besides, buying a home here, you're really doing it for proximity to the Imperial City itself. All the districts within, the culture, the dining, the people. Sure, you have to come back to this shack every night, but you're not living here for these accommodations. You're living here for the culture of the city itself. And what's even better is that this is my most affordable home, with a price of only 2,000 septums, and an additional 2,000 septums if you wish to keep the furnishings here. I understand it's not much to look at, but it could be a wonderful place to live. I could use a personal touch when you move in, if you fill it with your own trinkets and such. Not quite what you're looking for. Perhaps a little too cheap for your taste. I understand. Maybe I swung a bit too low. In that case, let's move up a bit and start exploring some Nibenese options. We covered all of Colovia, and now we can explore the Niben. Let's start here in Bravil, where I have a very affordable home, but still somewhat higher than the Imperial City shack I just showed you. I understand that Bravil has a bit of a bad reputation. It does stink like a sewer, unfortunately, as they use the Larcius River that passes through town as their sewer, but it can be a lovely home if you make the best of it. It's very affordable to live here. And the statue of the lucky old lady, some people say it's a meaningless local tradition to kiss her on the cheek in exchange for good luck. But I've always been a big believer in it. What's more with Bravil, if you have a taste for skooma, and I certainly don't judge, of course, there's no better place to live. The skooma trade here is very active, and you can get cheap, accessible skooma at any time of day. This bridge leads to Castle Bravil, where the Count Regulus Terentius lives. He is a rude, pompous man, and very disliked by the populace. His son, Gellius, is actually a skooma addict. It's a bit of a local scandal. So if you live here, you might find yourself at odds with the Count, as many of the residents do. If you are the religious type, Bravil hosts the Chapel of Mara, the divine of love and marriage. It also, as with all the towns I've shown you, except for the Imperial City, has a chapter of the Fighters Guild here, and a chapter of the Mages Guild. So if you are members of those guilds, you will find community here in Bravil. And if you can get past the poverty-stricken nature of the town, it does have a certain charm to it. And here's the home I have for sale, the lower floor. And I will say, if you are of a criminal disposition, and again, it's none of my business where your money comes from, you might appreciate the services of your upstairs neighbor, Luciana Galena, who I've heard is always willing to buy stolen goods, at least to members of the Thieves Guild. But here is what could be your home here in Bravil. For only 4,000 gold, it's a wonderful bargain, and I will pass along the furnishings here for 3,900 more septims. So you can get this place and everything in it for under 8,000 septims. Considering Bravil, that's a wonderful bargain. The smell is a bit off-putting. Yes, I understand that. Well, if this isn't quite your style, let's continue on down the green road, and I can show you another offering. To be honest, it's not my most impressive house, but it smells better than Bravil at least. Here we are in Leyawiin, admiring the statue of Topo the Pilot, an old mer, the first of the elves. Topol explored Tamriel on behalf of his people in the Somerset Isles, sailing up and down the continent's rivers on his ship, the Niben. Topal Bay is named after him, and the Niben River is named after his ship. Topal the pilot is the patron saint of Leyawiin. And Leyawiin it's a tale of two cities, sumptuous mansions standing alongside squalid shacks. Part of this is because Leyawiin is a melting pot. It's sandwiched in a region called the Trans-Niben, a thin, vertical strip of land between Elsewhere of the Khajiit and Black Marsh of the Argonians. Here we have a statue of Zenithar, the divine of hard work and commerce. And this is his chapel here. So if you are a worshipper of Zenithar, you will find Leyawiin a very appropriate place to live. Leyawiin, as I said, is a melting pot. You'll find many Argonians and Khajiit here, along with a handful of Dunbarrow immigrants. The Countess Alessia Chorrol, who is the daughter of the Countess of Chorrol, is married to Count Marius Chorrol of Leyawiin. There's quite a bit of controversy these days, and racial tensions, because the Count and Countess want to turn Leyawiin into a town of pure Nibenese culture. They want to diminish the culture of the Argonians, the Khajiit, and the Dunmer. You will find extreme racism here. Not only from the Nibenese Count and his family towards the minorities of the city, but also among the minorities themselves. There are some conflicts, but none worse than the Countess herself, who despises Argonians like me. People say she even has a torture chamber hidden in the castle, where she tortures and murders Argonians for her sick pleasure. Personally, I would be terrified to live here as an Argonian. But here is your potential home. I know it looks rather squalid next to the towering mansions of the town. The windows are boarded, but it's functional, and at only 7,000 septims, it is a good deal. The furnishings inside will run you another 7,000, so 14,000 septims in total for the house and its furnishings. The interior, I admit again, is somewhat unimpressive, but if you put your personal touch on it, I'm sure you could cozy it up a bit. The largest drawback is that it is missing a fireplace, which is unfortunate. The weather this far south is relatively comfortable and warm, but on cold nights you will miss the fireplace, no doubt. Not quite right for you? Yes, well, as I said, I certainly wouldn't live in the town. Not with that racist countess still in power. But before we move along, I do have a very unusual offering here in the Topal Bay. I figured as long as we were in Leyawiin, we could just pop over here very quickly and take a look. It's called Deepscorn Hollow, and it might be my most unusual offering. Here's one entrance to it, a secret trapdoor, but I'll show you another entrance, although it does demand you get a little wet, which isn't a problem for me as an Argonian, but obviously other people might not enjoy that as much. And it does have an Oblivion gate just outside, so that's a bit of an issue, of course. But these days there are very few places without an Oblivion gate nearby. Such is the dangerous state of the world. So I will be blunt. I don't know what kind of person you are, but this home would be perfect for an evil, murderous psychopath. And even better for a vampire. I will show you some of its amenities once we head inside. As I said, I certainly don't judge how you acquire your money, so if you're afflicted with vampirism, it's none of my business. And if you're an assassin or a thief, it really makes no difference to me. But look how beautiful the region is, with the sun setting over the Topal Bay, the light casting through the swamps, the mangroves and the wooden protrusions emerging from the water. It's just a gorgeous region. So if you descend into the water by these ruins, you can find a flooded entrance into Deepscorn Hollow here. Swim up and inside, and the first thing you will find is a poison grove. A small garden filled with poisonous plants. If you are an alchemist or an assassin, this would be very helpful, of course. This place was once inhabited by Greywin Blenwith, a vampire who attempted to forge a schism in the Dark Brotherhood, turning all of those assassins into vampires. He failed and retreated to his old haunt, Deepscorn Hollow. For this place and all of its furnishings, you will pay 15,250 septims. Now, as I said, this place might be quite useful for you if you're a vampire. And I mean that whether you are a willing vampire or whether you want to cure your vampirism. Because this room, this font of renewal, is an incredibly unique artifact. If you collect purge blood salts from the mineral deposits here in the room, you can descend into the water and use the pillar here to cure yourself of vampirism. Many people don't even know there's a cure for vampirism. So this is a very useful item if you ever come down with that hemophilic disease. Now, if you are a willing vampire, if you appreciate the dark gifts of the night, then you will also appreciate this aspect of Deepscorn Hollow. Kept in this cage is a man, somewhat disturbingly called Cattle, but you can feed off of him whenever you like. And if we progress deeper into Deepscorn Hollow, first I'll show you the secret exit I showed you earlier. This is how you can emerge and go back and forth if you don't wish to soak yourself in water every time. Up and out into the Topal Bay. The beautiful stars streaking the skies above. The Oblivion Gate still glowing in the distance. And if we progress deeper into Deepscorn Hollow, you can see some of its other amenities. A dining room. And you saw a figure walking about. I'll show you him in a moment, but here would be your bedroom. With a sleeping coffin here. A somewhat unusual bed, of course, but a very comfortable one. And a desk here. And here is the dark minion. He does come with the hollow he refuses to leave. But you can make use of his skills if you wish. He will be more than willing to go out and commit murder if you ask him to. And he will deposit the goods of his victim in a chest in Deepscorn Hollow for you to collect and enjoy as you will. And finally I will show you Deepscorn's shrine to Sithis. Leyawiin was a devout worshipper of Sithis, and he built this frightening but darkly beautiful shrine to the dread Father himself. Now, you might be spurned by the gods if you do evil in your life, but Sithis will take care of you at his shrine if you are unable to pray at the chapels. Now, if this den of evil doesn't suit your tastes, let's return to more traditional homes. Up here in Cheydinhal. Cheydinhal. This is Castle Cheydinhal, home of Count Benirus, the only non-imperial count in Cyrodiil. Benirus is a Dunmer. His son, Farwell, recently disappeared in the Oblivion Gate outside town, and hasn't returned for days. The Count is no doubt terrified for the safety of his son. You can see the beautiful willow trees, so emblematic of Cheydinhal, and the purple Dunmer inspired architecture of the houses in the area. The river that passes through town is the Cordolo River, I think. Something like that. I don't remember the name exactly. Cordobo, maybe. But it's a beautiful feature in town, with a pair of bridges crossing over it on either end of town. And we have the Chapel of Arche here. Arche is the divine of death, proper death passing into death, the cycle of life and death, burial rites and so on. And you can see Cheydinhal's many beautiful buildings around the chapel. There is a abandoned home here. It hasn't been touched for years. The Count refuses to do anything to it. There are many rumors about that home. People claim all sorts of strange things about it, about the dark deeds that go on inside. The chapel is, as all of the chapels in Cyrodiil are, very beautiful. But let's circle around the other bridge of the river and find our way to your potential new home. Cheydinhal might be my personal favorite city in Cyrodiil. Just the beautiful path that you can walk through the town. It's really something special. The river and the bridges, the willows on the banks, the great chapel rising above it all, the mountains covered in snow, the purplish Dunbarrow homes. Something about this town just speaks to my soul. I find it absolutely gorgeous. And if we cross the bridge here, past this drunken Aldous Othrin singing about cliff racers, we can see your home just there. That statue is of Venice Calarian, the founder of the Mages Guild. And the Mages Guild is just past that statue, actually. You do have a fenced-in yard, although it is rather small around the back. A bit cramped up against the town wall. But inside, you will find a luxurious, comfortable home. It comes in at 15,000 septims, and you can take all of the furnishings inside for 15,000 as well. And this is a very reasonable price for Cheydinhal's homes, which can often go for much higher prices. The conflux of Nibenese culture and architecture styles with the Dunmer influence from nearby Morrowind makes this a very unique, beautiful home
that you can feel proud to own, and that will be a lovely conversation piece for visiting relatives and friends from far away.
But as you ponder
whether these aesthetics are to your taste or not, I will say that
considering how much we have seen of Cyrodiil so far, and given that you've not yet made your decision on which home to acquire, let's go ahead and I'll just show you my last 2 homes.
we're so close to seeing everything I have in my catalog at the moment that we might as well round it off before you make your decision. So,
if you're amenable to it, we can head north, start climbing up the Jerall Mountains, and visit the town of Bruma. Here we are in Bruma. Castle Bruma there to the west. Narina Carvain is the countess, well known for her collection of Akaviri artifacts. We have the Chapel of Talos here, the divine that was once the Emperor Tiber Septim, conqueror of Tamriel and founder of the Third Empire and the Septim dynasty. Of course, tragically, Uriel Septim VII was just murdered, along with all of his sons, and thus the Septim dynasty begun by Talos has come to a bloody end, and the future of the empire is uncertain. Somewhat interestingly about Bruma, it has a very strong Nord influence from the nearby Skyrim, as you can see by the Nord architecture stylings of the buildings. And the Chapel of Talos often struggles with converting the local Nords, many of whom still hold to their old pantheon and refuse to worship the divines of the Empire. But let's go ahead and get out of the cold. If you are of a hardier stock than I, you might love this beautiful Bruma home. It's quite affordable, for the price of only 10,000 septims, and I'll sell you the furnishings as well for 9,900 septims. So for under 20,000 septims, you can have this beautiful Nordic home for yourself. Nord architecture is rustic and sturdy. Lots of exposed logs. Wood being a prominent feature, but it is elegant and beautiful in its own way. And living in a snowy northern mountainous region without a home designed like this just wouldn't feel quite right, now would it? So if you admire this architecture style, this is a perfect option for you. You do have a basement, and it's a well-appointed one at that. This is also where your bedroom is. So if we step through this door, you can find a lovely little room cabinets, shelves, cupboards, drawers, lots of space for your things, your clothes, and a comfortable, simple little bed here. You are not living in Bruma to live in the lap of luxury. It's a town connected to the elements, to the hardships of life, and to the rugged beauty of the Jerall Mountains and the Nordic way of life. Now, as much as my Argonian body hates the cold, I do have to take us even higher into the Jeralls for a look at my last offering, Frostcrag Spire. This wizard's tower is viewable from most parts of Cyrodiil on a clear day. It can be seen overlooking the whole stretch of the province. If you are magically inclined, you will find this a perfect home for your needs. It was built by an unknown mage some time ago, affiliated with the Mages Guild, as they have constructed teleporting sigils in the tower that can take you to every Mages Guild in the province. And if you are an alchemist, a conjurer, or any other sort of sage interested in the arcane arts, you will find this a delightful place to live. This striking entryway houses a frost atronach's hand emerging like a shelf from below. Hanging banners and tapestries depict constellations and the emblem of the Mages Guild. I will sell you all the furnishings here for a mere 8,500 septums. So it is a very good deal, of course. This is also one of the safest places to keep your valuables. As you can see, this vault here is protected by imps, trained imps, who will attack anybody who tries to rob you. So if you have mountains of gold, ancient valuable books, or other items that might draw the attention of thieves, you will find Frostcrag Spire a very useful home. If you are a conjurer, you will also appreciate this atronach summoning area. You can summon a flame atronach, a storm atronach, or an ice atronach. A frost atronach, rather, I believe is what the mages normally call them. I have no head for magic, so I couldn't say. If you are an alchemist, you will no doubt love this incredible garden area. It even has plants from the Deadlands, Mehrunes Dagon's realm of Oblivion. Where else in Cyrodiil can you find reliable access to such plants? And they are all domesticated, so even though they often poison you or lash out at you in the Deadlands, the ones here are perfectly safe and harmless. Here Here you'll find the portals to the various Mages Guild chapter halls.
We can see Bruma far down there in the distance.
And the Jerall Mountains, walling us off from Skyrim there in the distance. And of course, that is the throat of the world there.
The tallest mountain in Tamriel. Or perhaps that honor goes to Red Mountain, I forget exactly. But it's either the tallest or the second tallest.
And if you think this view is impressive,
I'll show you something that is even more beautiful in a moment. Of course, we have the northern lights shining throughout the sky.
even if you are not a mage, I mean, just the sheer beauty of living in this tower certainly has some appeal.
And you have a cozy bed here.
I will admit the tower is, while it is a wonderful structure with many benefits, it's not the coziest of places.
Not much carpeting, sitting rooms, or anything like that to make it a little more welcoming for visitors.
But we can look out on Cyrodiil, and let's see when the sun comes up just how far we can see out over the province. This really is the most impressive view that you can get of Cyrodiil.
You can see the Imperial City, the towns peppering the Nibenese Valley, the Heartland, the Colovian Highlands.
And with that, my friend, that brings us to the end of our exploration of all my homes that I have on offer. So tell me, have you made a decision on which home you would like to buy? You have. And which one would it be?
Ah, a wonderful choice. You will no doubt love living there. Very well. Let's step inside, and I can draw up a quick contract, and we can get you into your new home this very day. Thank you so much for choosing Cyrodiilic Realty for your real estate needs. It means the world to me that of all your options for how to buy a home in Cyrodiil, you came to us.
Should you ever need to buy another home in the future, we hope to see you again.
And until then, my friend, take care. Goodbye.